Hi, and welcome to Making All the Plans. I'm Connie, and I'm so excited you decided to join me as we set ourselves up for a successful Q1 of 2025. This is the third and final video of the HB90 Planning Series for Q1 of 2024. I'll link the first two videos in the description down below, but here's a quick recap. The first video covered the HB90 method, reflection and review of the previous quarter, and creating a vision for the future. The second video was all about the game-changing element of the system for me, time. We also set goals and defined projects for the quarter ahead. In this third video, we're going to break down those projects we defined in the second video into tasks and discuss how time estimation may impact whether I hit my good, better, or best milestones of my goals. Before we start writing tasks on Post-it notes, I do want to mention that I have all of my tasks written down in some form, either in Notion or on a piece of paper. This way, as I write out the tasks, I can fill them out in reverse chronological order. Then when I overlap my Post-it notes on the Kanban board, the last tasks end up at the bottom and the first task ends up at the top. I also don't mind handwriting my Post-it notes. I've been on the lookout for a good stamp for the boxes, but writing everything out helps me think through my plan and stay connected to it. I do want to note that I will be planning my tasks like I am hitting the best milestone of my goals. I'd rather overplan and not get every task done than risk not having something planned and wasting time looking for the next thing to work on. So let's start by breaking down the Making All the Plans projects into actionable tasks.
Let me start by just telling you what all I have on my desk in order to make my Kanban board. I do have the 2x2 super sticky Post-it notes. I have already pre-written a few for my videos. I do have a bigger one just in case I need to make a longer list. Then I have my Loistrom, which I use as my HB90 notebook, and I have already written my goals and projects into this notebook. Off to the side, I have a Happy Planner stencil with boxes. I have my erasable friction pen and a mini ruler. So let's get started by breaking down the Making All the Plans projects into actionable tasks. So my first project is build in consistency in routines and resets. And that is going to be a little harder to put on Post-it notes. My thought is to make a tracker to keep inside of my planner, but I will start with scheduling in the good goal milestones and then gradually work up to the best goal milestones. And that is my plan across the board for all of my goals, projects, and tasks is just to build in that consistency and build it slowly. Don't just dive in and think you're going to be the perfect person on January 1st. I need to build up to that best goal. I am starting by working on the easiest Post-it notes first, and those are my video Post-its. They do take the longest to draw out, but they take the shortest amount of time to think out. So I do start with my video Post-it notes. I only write titles on those videos that I produce weekly or monthly. All the other Post-it notes I do not put a title on until I move them into my planner for the week. Also, each Post-it note has 5 boxes on it, and then I put letters below it to represent my scripting, videoing, editing, scheduling, and then watch and like is the heart. And I'll just zoom in a little bit so you can see the boxes and that the way that I'm doing my Post-it notes, the latest date is on the bottom of the stack, and I am building up so that I can have January 1st at the very top of the stack, and then the end of the month, January 30th or January 31st, depending on when your tasks fall, would be at the bottom of the stack. And for my Post-it notes, I did go with just 2 colors here. The purple are my regularly scheduled weekly and monthly videos, and the pink are for everything else. Again, I am planning for 5 videos a week, and those purple ones will definitely happen, and then at least one pink from each week will happen. But I think I've mentioned that I like to be over prepared, so I would rather plan a content calendar and think about how to fit 5 videos in case there actually is time to produce 5 videos. Otherwise, being over prepared doesn't hurt me because I will just shift those videos to the future, whether it be later in the month or next month. And I do keep all my notes and scripts and things like that in Notion, and they are assigned to a calendar, and I just move them around as necessary. So my post-it notes, that's one of the reasons why I do not write titles on them, but I like the visual and I like the physical of these post-it notes, but my authoritative source, especially if you're a database person, my authoritative source is Notion. So I'm going to work on the rest of my tasks for making all the plans. And honestly, this area is going to be a bit of a work in progress. I want to start working on a monthly reset routine as well as a weekly reset routine. And these will tie in to my personal goals as well as I try to build consistency and routines across my entire life. So, as I look at my monthly routines, I need to decide whether I'm going to do them all at the same time or if I'm going to spread them throughout the month. Even though they are a monthly routine, do I do one each weekend or do I just save them and batch them all together? So far I have thought of 3 that I need to do, and that's research trends and analytics. That will be reviewing my own trends and analytics as well as what YouTube says, reviewing my expenses and income, and then in January, planning those content calendars for February and March. So I did go ahead and jot down the breakdowns of the weeks for the next month because I am really good at making mistakes writing down the dates. So I just made myself a little cheat sheet here so that I can make my recurring weekly tasks. And really, there are 2 tasks or 2 post-it notes each week. The bottom one will say a weekly reset, and then the top one has comments with 3 boxes and Insta with 4 boxes. And again, I'm sure I've mentioned this, but my goal for Insta is 2 and to build up to 4. But I am planning for the best goal, so I am putting 4 boxes in. So for January, my goal is 2, but in the hopes of building up to 4. And then I will just rewrite these each week of the month and put those dates at the bottom. So when I overlap them, I can still see the dates and I can pull off those necessary post-its each week when I go through and make my plans for that week. Then my green tasks are just things that didn't quite fit in anywhere else. And the first one is to retreat plan for Q1. I have decided that I need to take a retreat so that I can have a whole weekend or a couple days of quiet time where I can plan through things. I might be able to batch create some content, but definitely all those tasks where you just need time to think through them without being interrupted by dinner, meal plans, family, all of the things. And I do like to have that backup project in case I do find myself with a bunch of extra time, and that is branding. So I would like to eventually make a web presence, and the branding piece is the first part for me.
For my personal projects, each item builds upon the next, which means I'll need to outline my tasks as I go. Step one will be to create a plan for gradually building up my routines and resets over time. To do this, I'm going to use this 52-week planner from Passion Planner as a tool to map out the steps week by week. The idea is to start small, layering in habits and routines as they become manageable. This way, I can stay focused on steady progress without overwhelming myself. I may need to tweak and fine tune the plan as I go, but having a framework means I won't have to spend mental energy each week reevaluating where I'm at or figuring out what the next step is to take. By laying this groundwork now, I'll set myself up for success and free up my focus for the bigger goals ahead.
So this sheet I am using to just flesh out how I want to build those routines because I know if I don't think through this now at the beginning of the quarter, that I will get to the end of the quarter and wonder why I didn't get further planning out my goals. I need to have that end vision in sight. So I'm not sure if you can read what I'm writing here, but that first column just says what week it is, and I put the date underneath it. The second column is my wake up time, and I'm going to start at 6 o'clock and work my way back to 4. And I used to get up at 4 all the time, so hopefully this won't be a problem. But again, I know that I can't just wake up tomorrow at 4 and get everything done on my routine and be ready to do it for the following day. And then I'm just going to sketch out which item of my routine I want to add as I move the time back. And I will say that this is going to end up in Notion so that I can tweak and tune it as I go. But for now, I'm just going to literally scribble it out on that paper, and then I will have a good idea of where I want to go. Next, I'm going to cut down some of these post-its so I can fit more on a page without them overlapping. And I'm cutting down 9 of these pink ones so that I can write down all 9 routines that I'm interested in creating for my personal life. Then I'm just going to lay them all out on the page and write in those routines that I want to work through. And they may not all get worked on during quarter one, but at least want to have that end vision in sight. So the ones that I'm going to be working on for sure are my AM routine, my PM routine, and my weekly home blessing. And once I start writing, those will be at the top of this pyramid looking thing. I also want to work on my skincare routine, my daily work reset, my Friday reset, Sunday reset, monthly reset, and my meal prep routine. I haven't quite figured out how I am moving these over into my planner each week. I am thinking about building a tracker as I go and as I build my routines, but I still haven't completely thought through what that's going to look like. So I have another 10 days before the year starts, and I'm hoping to have that fleshed out before then. And last but not least are my home tasks. And these are also going to be somewhat minimal right now because I do want to build up those routines. And so the weekly home blessing that I am working on as my tasks for my personal goal, those kind of overlap into this area. But the things that I need to get done for home are my yearly maintenance task schedule, and then starting to chip away at the basement remodel, getting the contractor to come and replace our back door, and to take down Christmas decor. But all of these tasks somewhat intertwine. The routines, the resets, everything, they all go together. And really, that's how I'm going to win at this game of life and get back on top of things is by improving those routines and resets.
For my specific tasks and projects and goals this quarter, things are being built from new. So I don't necessarily know how long things will take. So how long will it take me to go through my entire morning routine? I'm not exactly sure. So I can guesstimate, but I'm going to have to tweak and tune as I go along. So again, I don't want to plan for all 3 quarters when things may have to change before I even get to the end of January. So 1 month at a time really works for me. With my Making All the Plans videos, I do schedule and plan for 5 videos a week. However, any of that planning is not lost if I do not get a video out when I originally expect to get it out. I just move the work that I've already done to another day on the calendar, whether that be within the same month because I just want to shift it back another week, or if it moves to the next month or at a later time. But if I were to write out all of my Post-it notes for all 3 months for Making All the Plans, there would be a lot of shifting and a lot of moving parts. So focusing on 1 month at a time really works for me much better. I'm not sure if I'm ready for a break or energized to dive right into my Q1 tasks, maybe even a little bit of both, but I want to thank you so much for joining me today for this final video in my Q1 2025 planning series using the HB90 method. If you have any questions or thoughts, feel free to leave them down below in the comments. You'll also find links to the entire series, my other HB90 videos, and all of Sarah Cannon's resources in the description box. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. And I wish you all a productive and fulfilling quarter ahead. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.